Discussion: Are violent video games bad? Due to the presence in the modern world of many responsibilities, tasks, difficulties, and activities, a person regularly needs timely rest and a moment of distraction from vital matters. One of the general ways for a person to escape from problems, restore emotional resources and mental strength, and have fun is a session of computer games. Video games and their stories often have a theme of violence since they imply conflict, which often causes negative reactions from people. In psychological discussions, the link between violent computer games and individual violence is considered a hot topic. Violent computer games do not directly increase the level of aggression and violence in people, but they possess the same bad qualities that all other computer games have. A computer game organizes the game process, gameplay, communicates with game parties, or acts as a participant itself. Presently, instead of the phrase computer game, a video game might be used in some instances, implying that the two terms are equivalent. A gaming setting is usually recreated on a digital display screen or an ordinary television. In this context, computer games are known as video games, but a computer game can also be acoustic or teletype. Films and literature can inspire the creation of computer games, but there have also been instances where a director has made a film or series based on a video game's premise. In terms of cultural heritage, computer games are legally recognized in the United States of America as a distinct form of art. Currently, computer games have gone through an active transition from one of the ways to have fun to a professional sport, in which separate championships and competitions are organized. One of the various activities individuals employ to modulate their mood and sustain a psychological state is playing a game, including computer games. Considering the advantages, one of the positive qualities of video games is the ability to give people the opportunity to relax emotionally and mentally. In particular, this feature largely affects video games, which implies the presence of quick actions and battles since they can be a great solution for people to abolish accumulated negative emotions in a safe form. In addition, when a person is feeling sad and discouraged, funny video games help him forget problems and remember what it means to have fun. It is important not to confuse temporary sadness and lack of mood with lingering psychological problems and depression that require medical attention in this situation. Otherwise, video games can act like alcohol and other psychotropic substances, the use of which only creates the appearance of a solution to the problem but does not affect it. Finally, moderate and short-term passion for video games during the period of life's failures will help a person gain self-confidence. Concerning the disadvantages of computer games, it is possible to state that they are divided into two separate categories: physiological and psychological issues. Referring to physiological problems, excessive enthusiasm for computer games can provoke health problems since a person is stationary for a long period. This aspect refers to problems with posture, which subsequently leads to spine diseases. It happens because the most active gamers can spend many hours in front of the monitor in a sitting and inactive state without controlling their posture. Addiction is the second hazardous concern behind physiological difficulties related to video game threats. This occurs when a person engages in excessive gaming to the point where it interferes with other vital aspects of his life, such as education, employment, health, or personal relationships. This anxiety is linked to obsessive behavior that the individual cannot overcome, even when the results are obvious. One of the common kinds of computer games is games in which there is an element of violence in any possible form. This type of video game includes scenes of violence of varying degrees of cruelty and plot scenes in which aggressive behavior is present. Violent games are widely believed to encourage aggression, impair prosocial behavior, enhance impulsivity, and interfere with intellect and emotions in players. Previous research and experimental studies have concentrated on the short-term impacts of violent video gaming on aggressiveness, but there are grounds to suspect that these consequences are mostly due to stimulation. On the other hand, the present studies utilize a broad set of tests to evaluate the consequences of long-term violent video gaming, including surveys, behavioral measures of aggressiveness, sexist views, compassion, and interpersonal competence. When comparing the teen playing a violent computer game to a teen playing a non-violent game in a passive control group, no substantial differences were noticed in attitude, psychological condition, or mental state. According to the research results, violent video games possess the above-mentioned disadvantages that all video games have. Nevertheless, they do not contribute in the long term to the increased development of aggression and propensity to violence in real life. As for the formation of public opinion regarding the negativity in computer games, it is worth emphasizing the division of people into those who have experience in video games and those who have never played them. In contrast to the perspectives of government bodies, doctors, academics, and other critics, gamers' attitudes about games are based on their personal experiences as users and the notion that the game becomes an essential, pre-planned occasion in their lives. This statement is confirmed by the fact that a person can only assess the impact of any sphere on his life by having personal experience of using any technology or staying in certain conditions. While some individuals accept violent video games, others continue to have reservations or completely reject them. This perspective is frequently motivated by a concern of growing cultural violence resulting from video games. The generation of the culture surrounding computer games is the major issue with video game critique. Young people aged 40 and under comprise the majority of the global video gaming audience, which confirms the presence of a young structure in this type of activity. As a result, many opinion influencers and leaders have never played video games due to their age. To summarize, a video game is a program that manages the game process, gameplay, interacts with game parties, or participates in the game as a player. Video games have both positive qualities, for example, the ability to give people relaxation, and a negative impact on human life, for instance, the occurrence of physiological and psychological difficulties. Considering violent video games, it can be stated that they have the same positive and negative qualities as other types of games. Violent computer games do not directly affect aggression and violence among people who play, therefore, such games cannot be called a bad phenomenon.